I hope you guys are having a good week so far. And we'll get started with this without further ado, okay? So today, as you guys know, we're going to be talking about writing emails, all right? This topic is quite important because, well, I think we write a lot of emails, both in Spanish and in English. And I think some of these tips will help you both in Spanish and in English, okay? So what I'm going to tell you guys today basically are well, a lot of tips that you can use for writing emails in English, specific language that you can use when writing in English, and we're going to look at some common mistakes, okay? So, to introduce myself a little bit, I know a lot of you guys have seen me before in other webinars, but my name is Michael Berenson, okay? I'm a Director of Studies here at Aztecs. I've been working at Aztecs for 7 years now, okay? I've been in Spain for 11 years. Just so you guys know a little bit about my experience. I've developed courses. I used to be a writing tutor, okay? I used to help students with their writing in English, okay? So I have a lot of experience in this area, all right? Well, I'd like to get started a little bit with you guys, but just so you know, at the very end, we're gonna play a game like usual, okay? And there will be a special prize for the winners, okay? I'll explain that a bit later. Very important, if you could, I'm going to go ahead and silence everybody, okay? Because it's best in these types of situations not have a lot of interference, okay? So I've gone ahead and silenced everybody, but it would be nice to have participants. So if I ask someone, you know, if I ask for a volunteer, please just raise your hand, okay? Or write to me in the chat, Michael, I have the answer, okay? And you can participate, all right? You're probably saying, why is he in Paris? Is he really in Paris, or what's going on there? Well, I think Paris is fitting for the first part of an email that I'm going to show you, okay? And it's one of my favorite cities. It's a place I go usually once a year. So I thought it was a nice, beautiful image for like a cloudy day that we have here in Madrid. At least we can kind of travel a little bit, okay? And all right, good. So we'll get started with the objectives for today. As I mentioned before, I kind of went through the objectives a little bit, and I want you guys to learn some tips and expressions for writing emails in English, okay? I want to correct some of your common mistakes, all right? Because I've seen a lot of typical things, and I'll be able to help you with that. And I want to really focus on the formal, semi-formal, and informal registers, okay? Because I think a lot of times the emails that you guys need to write are semi-formal, okay? They're not too formal, but they can't be too informal. It's not like you're writing to your friends, okay? So I want to kind of look at that semi-formal structure more than anything, all right? But I think we're going to start with a little fun, all right? We're going to start with a little love email, or something that I see as a love email. I'm going to read it out loud to you guys, okay? Because this email in English sounds like a love email. There's several mistakes in the email, okay? But I'm going to start, all right? Good morning, Michael. I write to you in relation with the class yesterday. I missed you. We had a substitute teacher, but it wasn't the same. I am waiting for you to return. Kisses, Anna. If I didn't know the Spanish culture or anything about Spain and someone were writing me this email, I would find it like kind of like a love email. I don't know. And I also find some mistakes, some little mistakes in here. So I don't know if you guys, other than, you know, some of the obvious things of why I think it's a love email, could you guys explain to me what some of the mistakes? You can write it in the chat, okay? You can write some of the mistakes that you see, or you can volunteer and you can speak some of the mistakes to me. So this is kind of where I want to start today, to focus on a few mistakes, and then from there we're going to get into everything else, okay? So can anybody tell me one of the mistakes that you see here? Please feel free. Okay. Yes, I have a couple of you that are writing kisses. I think that's the first thing. All right. Okay. All right. Someone says the date, which is fine. Someone said I missed you. Okay. I missed you could be also something that, you know, it might sound strange. It's perfectly fine. All right. But it sounds a bit kind of very close, you know, very yeah, it sounds like the person was very close to me or something, you know, and the kisses is even more. So imagine that I didn't know what the Spanish culture was like, and I heard someone say kissing. We would never say kissing, all right? We would never say kisses at the end of an email. It sounds really strange, unless you had a couple, like you said it to your couple or something like that, all right? So I'm seeing a lot of different things, and it's fantastic, all right? And so I'm really happy to see everybody participating and writing in their answers. This is great. You guys are really participating a lot today. So I'm going to start with the beginning because you guys are doing well with this, okay? So pay attention to the time that this was written. It's Monday is not really that important. The fact that it was yesterday, which is the 20th of April, is not really important. These details we're imagining are already in the email. This is nothing that I wrote, okay? And we're looking at this, the time was 1 p.m. So if the time is 1 p.m., what is wrong with the introduction of good morning, Michael? Yes, I've got Danielle that says it should be good afternoon, all right? This is one of the first, this is like the first thing I bring up when I talk about emails, okay? Obviously in a formal email, you're probably not going to say good morning or good afternoon. But in a semi-formal email, you'll probably say good morning, all right? But if you say good morning, it has to be before noon, okay? And what is noon? Noon is 12 o'clock, okay? 12 o'clock, from that moment on, it's the afternoon, okay? Until about 6 o'clock, maybe we would call it evening, all right? So if someone's saying good morning to me, it sounds incorrect. It sounds kind of strange because I'm reading it. When I receive it, it's the afternoon, all right? It's a slight mistake, but it shows your knowledge of the language and the culture, okay? In English, I know in Spain especially, morning is kind of after you've eaten, before you've eaten, and then after you've eaten, it's the afternoon, all right? In English, that's completely different, okay? So we'll go to the next one. So you guys did very well on that. Yes, we would say good afternoon in this case. And then there's a little mistake here. In the first sentence, a couple little mistakes actually. I write to you in relation with the class yesterday. Yes, somebody told me. Good, all right. So someone just said, I'm writing to you, all right? So I'm writing to you. We don't use the present simple tense in emails, okay? We would always say, when we talk about something in the past, we would talk with the present continuous, I am writing to you, okay? Or if it's informal or semi-formal, you can say, I'm writing to you. There's no need to write, I am writing to you, okay? And then the other mistake someone else brought up, in relation with. We don't say in relation with, okay? We could say regarding, very well, all right? I've got people saying regarding, all right? So I'm writing to you regarding the class yesterday, all right? We would take out in relation with, I'm writing to you regarding the class yesterday, or yesterday's class, okay? Someone said concerning. I have someone in the chat said concerning. You could say that as well. Concerning always sounds kind of more like a, not always, but a lot of times concerning can sound like a problem, okay? So I would avoid the use of concerning too much, okay? But I have a comment to make concerning what happened yesterday. Yeah, that's perfect. It's fine, but concern sometimes makes the reader think that there's a problem, okay? You can use it, but be careful how you use it, all right? So it depends on how positive or negative the tone of your email is, all right? I would say in the next part, okay, I missed you. Okay, this is kind of a joke that I put in there, right? But maybe sometimes someone would want to say, I missed you, or you weren't there, what happened, you know? I missed you in English kind of sounds a bit strong, but it's perfectly fine. You can say it, all right? We had a substitute teacher, but it wasn't the same. I'm waiting for your return, or for you to return, okay? You could say this, but it sounds kind of incorrect, all right? So you'd say, I'm looking forward. Someone put in the chat earlier, I'm looking forward to your returning, or to you coming back, okay? Or to your return, okay? And then we have the famous kisses, okay? In English, we don't say kisses and we don't say hugs, all right? I know it makes us sound like we're very cold people. I don't think we're very cold, all right? So I would say something more like, someone said regards, kind regards. These are both very neutral. These are very semi-formal, okay? And I would say something like greetings? No, greetings is for the beginning. Greet is to say hello, all right? So to say goodbye is different. So it's to close off, okay? So we can say regards, kind regards. We're going to look at more words for this a bit later, okay? But you could even say take care, okay? If you know the person well, take care or stay safe. And these days, this is a common thing to say to someone, even to your colleagues at work. Take care or stay safe because of everything happening with the pandemic. It's perfectly fine to use those in a semi-formal email, okay? Or you can just say thanks, or see you soon, or have a good weekend, something like that, all right? But we'll get into that later, and I really appreciate your participation. You guys are really participating a lot today. But before we get into everything in more detail, okay, I want to look at the difference between these three types of emails, okay? So we have formal emails, semi-formal emails, and informal emails, okay? Formal emails are emails that you guys probably aren't going to write very often, unless you're maybe applying for a job, or if you're making a complaint to a company where you don't know the person's name. These are when you're usually going to use a formal email, okay? So like I put here, the addressee, the person you're writing to, is unknown, okay? So in this case, you would, you know, make the email formal. We're not going to really go too much in depth in formal emails today because I don't think you guys are going to have to write them, but we'll look at a few things. We're going to focus mostly on semi-formal. Semi-formal could be to your boss, okay? Semi-formal is to colleagues. It could be to people that are working, maybe you have suppliers in another country. You would need to be semi-formal because if you're too formal, it kind of puts people off. It's like, oof, why are they so formal with me? Let's be a little warmer, okay? It's nice to be a little bit warmer, but at the same time to be direct, and we're going to look at that a little bit later too. Informal can be with friends, family, but even work with colleagues. I mean, depending on how informal you are, but I think with my work colleagues, all of us write together in informal fashion, both in Spanish and English, okay? So some of the differences. Formal, you would use no contractions. That's why I have it in red here, okay? So I have things in red here. For some reason, my little symbols aren't showing up, but the contractions you wouldn't use. So I would say, I am writing to you in order to, okay? They're much longer, okay? Formal emails are much longer. Whereas with the semi-formal and informal, we'd say I'm, we're, they're, he's, aren't, they aren't, things like that, okay? And then with short words, again, formal emails are a lot longer, so I wouldn't use really short words. Here you can feel free to use these typical Spanish Latinates, what I call Latinates, okay? The words that come directly from English, they're very formal, and then we don't use that often, and we're gonna look at this a bit later, okay? So with semi-formal and informal, especially, use short words and phrasal verbs, okay? I'd use a lot more phrasal verbs in a semi-formal and informal email. And I think the fact that you're using a phrasal verb shows your knowledge of English. And I'm going to teach you guys a few phrasal verbs later that I want you guys to use in your emails, okay? That way you can sound like, wow, the person that's writing to me knows their English really well. They sound more natural, you know? Okay, and then we look at the titles, okay? So for a formal email, you need to say Mr., Mrs., or Doctor, or Sergeant, okay? Or you say, for example, maybe if you don't know who the addressee is, you could say to whom it may concern, okay? So you don't put anybody, or you would say dear sir or madam, but this is like the most formal when you don't know who you're writing to, okay? And this could be to make a complaint to a company about something. One of the typical things I think of is maybe if you flew somewhere and that maybe someone is, you know, you flew to, I think I don't know if you guys are having trouble hearing me or if it's someone else that's having trouble. I saw a few messages come up here. I hope it's not that you can't hear me because nobody said anything until now, so I hope you can hear me. Okay, perfect. All right. So I'm not going to worry too much about that, but I guess you're helping someone else out, which is fantastic. You guys are helping. Okay. So thank you, Anna, for helping Tony out. Let's see if hopefully this person can get their audio figured out. Okay. All right. So we're going to go into this a bit more in depth. All right. And we're going to look at the salutations, okay, or the greetings. All right. Remember, greetings is to say hello, not to say goodbye. I will greet you To greet someone means to say hello, all right? I just mentioned the formal to whom it may concern, dear sir or madam, if you don't know who you're writing to. And then we have dear Ms., Mrs., Dr., Mr., okay? And even if you had someone in the military, you could maybe say dear sergeant, whatever, okay? But these are all very formal emails, okay? But I have a quick note for you guys on the use of Ms. and Mrs., okay? This is quite important, okay? Because Mrs., which is an MRS, means that, I'm gonna write it here for you guys just so it stays clearer, okay? So we're gonna say Mrs., that is the same as what we're pronouncing is Mrs., okay? So if you're saying dear Mrs., okay, that means the person is married, okay? So only use this if you know that the woman you're writing to is married, okay? It's almost better to refer to someone as Ms., okay? The one that I put here, okay? This is Ms., okay? If you don't know if the person's married or not married, you don't know the marital status of that person, always use Ms., okay? MS is how we write it. We would never write M-I-Z, but I'm putting that there so you guys know how it's pronounced, okay? If you ever had to address to someone, Ms., you would say it that way, but it's MS, so be careful with that. But when we're talking semi-formal emails, usually you're not gonna need that, okay? You might put the first name and the last name. I mean, you could say dear Mr. or whatever, but usually semi-formal, you know the person, okay? So you might say, good morning, John, okay? Good afternoon, Angela, all right? And good evening. You notice something's missing there. I put in good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. What is missing and why is it missing? Can anybody help me on that? Why do you think something is missing there? Because I've good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, but I've left something out on purpose. And this relates to another common mistake that I find a lot. Yes, I'm missing, thank you very much. I'm missing good night. Why am I missing good night? Does anybody know why I'm missing good night in this list? I've got a few people answering here. We got, good, is when you go to sleep. Perfect. Thank you very much. So, good. When we don't put good night here because good night is a way to say goodbye in English, okay? We would never begin an email saying goodbye to someone. We have to begin the email saying hello to somebody, okay? So we would say good morning before noon. When is noon? Noon is 12 p.m. We don't call it 12 a.m. Even though it's right after the morning, we call it 12 p.m., okay? So anything from 12 p.m. on until 11:59 p.m. is, well, these are afternoon and evening, okay? How do we know evening? Evening is kind of that time when you're home from work, okay? When you're home with your family, when it's probably dark outside or getting dark, I would call it the evening, okay? So if you write an email at 10 o'clock, for example, don't write good night to somebody because like you're starting your email saying goodbye, all right? So if you write to somebody, good night, it's like you're saying, okay, goodbye, Michael. Why are you writing to me to say goodbye, right? So if you want to start an email at 10 o'clock, you say good evening, da, 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 da. Or if you want to stay safe, say hello, da, 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 da. And then you write your email, and at the end, you can write good night, okay? If it's at nighttime, you can write good night, perfectly fine. The same applies to informal, but we might say things like hi or howdy. Howdy is something that we use more in the Midwest, the South, and the West of the United States. And it doesn't mean how are you? It means hello. It's a way to say hello. So if you hear someone say howdy, someone's asking me for the translation of howdy. I don't think it really has a good translation. It's another way to say hello. It's another way. Someone said olis, maybe. Say olis, yeah. I guess it could be something like that. Very good. Thanks, Lucas. Yeah, so you could say, that's another way to say, yeah, it's another way to say hello. It's very informal. I use it a lot, okay? Good. Thanks, Lucas. I like that. Good. So those are your salutations. That's how you start an email to address to a person. But then we go on to the opening lines. This is something that my students have always asked me for, you know, kind of like, what do I say when I want to start an email. You know, we need these phrases, these go-to phrases, which, by the way, guys, I'm going to be preparing some documents with these phrases for you guys up on our hub. Okay, so where you guys were able to find the link to this webinar. In a few days, you'll be able to find all of the resources related to webinars, okay, on our Aztecs hub, on our corporate hub. And you'll find a lot of resources in addition to the videos from the webinars that I've been recording. You'll be able to find some like takeaways, okay, some good takeaways, like little mini ebooks, all right, with a lot of these phrases, okay. So we're going to look at them today, but you know, further down the line, you're going to be able to download them, all right, and have them on hand and be able to use them when you're writing emails, okay? These are opening lines, okay? Other than the typical, I'm writing to you because, da, 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 okay? And these are going from more formal to informal usually, okay? So if you don't know a person, you'd say, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Michael Berenson. Da, 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 da. Exactly how I explained I introduced myself at the beginning of this webinar, okay? If you know the person a little bit, you might say, dear Lucas, let's say, because we have a Lucas there who's been answering. Dear Lucas, I hope you are well, okay? Or I hope this email finds you well, okay? If you really want to go into depth about what you're explaining, we use this expression, I'm reaching out, okay? Reaching out literally means you're reaching your hand out in front of you, okay? But I'm reaching out means that I'm contacting you, okay? So when I say I'm reaching out to someone, that means I'm contacting that person. So I'm reaching out to you about it could even be on a follow-up as well. I'm reaching out to you about what I saw posted on your website, for example, or I'm reaching out to you because a colleague mentioned you could help me with this problem, okay? So it's, you know, maybe for helping people as well. You're reaching out, asking for help or offering help, okay? So it's a new word for you guys, to reach out, and we use this a lot, okay? Then one of the common things for emails is to follow up on something, okay? So usually we're following up on a meeting or we're following up on a phone call. So we might say to follow up on our meeting yesterday, or to follow up on the phone call we had, or as we discussed on our call, or usually it's really, this happens a lot in meetings. We promise things to people, or we have a list of things to do after our meeting, okay? So you might say, hey, could you send me that presentation that you gave the other week, or could you send me or could you send me a dashboard on this? And so, you know, after the meeting, you said that, you write the people that are interested saying, as promised, I'm sending you the document that you were asking for, okay? We use this a lot, all right? And this is more informal, but I'm getting back to you about, okay? I'm getting back, this is a good phrasal verb that means I'm contacting you again, okay? I'm replying to you, okay? Okay. Someone just asked me if we could say to follow up to. I wouldn't say to follow up to something, no. I want to follow up on our phone call, all right? I'm following up, yeah, on our meeting. He's following up, no, with to, we wouldn't use it, sorry. Well, we keep that in your mind, follow up on something, okay? And it's usually with a noun, all right, or a gerund in this case, a meeting is a noun, gerund, all right? Then, when we're replying, usually we're thanking someone for some reason or the other, okay? So we're saying thank you for your help, thank you for getting in touch, okay? That you're getting in contact. A lot of times we say in touch, all right? So in English, in this case, we're very tactile when we're saying getting in touch. But later we don't say anything about hugs or kisses. But we do say getting in touch, okay? Which means getting in contact, similar to reaching out, all right? You might thank someone for the update. If someone gave you information, as promised, they were giving you the information. The follow-up, you reply saying, thank you for the update, okay? And this is very common when someone writes back to you really quickly, which is, we love that when people write back to us really quickly. We would say, thanks for the quick response, all right? Or the quick reply, you could say as well. They're the same, reply or response. I'm speaking a lot. I need some water, excuse me. Okay. Good. And so then we get on to the closing lines of an email, okay? We have our body. We're not really going to look into the body. I'm going to give you guys some tips at the end, maybe things to do in the body of the email. But what's important for you guys, most of all, is learning what to say in the beginning, after the salutation, and what to say at the end before the signing off of the email, okay? So when we're talking about something in the future, all right, this sounds very, very formal, but you might tell someone before you say that your thank you or your sincerely or whatever, you say, please advise as necessary, all right? It's a good way to finish the email before signing off, okay? We use this a lot, formal or informal. I look forward to hearing from you soon, okay? Someone says, please let me know your answer as soon as possible. This can sound a bit too direct, maybe, all right? I would maybe even, sometimes when we want to soften things in English, we would say, could you? So we would say maybe in this case, what was it exactly? Please let me know your answer as soon as possible. I would say, could you let us know as soon as possible? I would make it a question, okay? Awaiting for your comments. I would change it a bit to I await or we await your comments, okay? We await your reply. That's very formal, but we could say we await your reply, okay? Please advise as necessary is more formal. Someone just asked me. Please advise as necessary for me sounds more formal, okay? I wouldn't use that in an email with my colleagues at work, all right? Because I know them. If you know somebody, you're not going to say that, in my opinion, even though I do have people write this to me that know me quite well. I think they write more formal emails to me. So the teachers that work for me on my projects, a lot of times write to me saying, please advise. For me, this sounds very formal, but maybe they see me, you know, I'm the boss in these projects, so they write to me that way. But I don't want them to write to me that way. I want them to be informal with me. I don't think it's necessary to be so formal. I think being formal is nice, but not in language so much. I think we need to be as natural as possible. Like formal dressing, I love. But formal language, I'm not a huge fan of, okay? So I like a good mix, a good balance, all right? Someone wrote to me the abbreviation of a typical thing, ASAP, all right? ASAP is very informal, okay? We use this, and I encourage you to use it in an informal email to say ASAP, all right? To let us know ASAP. But this depends on who you're talking to, okay? This is really informal. So if you're talking to people you know very well, you can say, let us know ASAP, or please let us know ASAP, okay? As soon as possible, in case you guys didn't know the direct meaning of that. We'd say ASAP. Good, Vicente, I'm telling you right now, it's as soon as possible, okay? But again, this is informal, so be careful with who you say it to, okay? As soon as possible. All right, good. Then if we're giving thanks to somebody, all right, I would say, I really appreciate something. This sounds really nice. I really appreciate the help, or make it more personal. I really appreciate your help, okay? I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your assistance, all right? A more formal way to say help, okay? Or your support, or the support you've given me, okay? So this is, again, could be formal or informal, depends on who you're writing to, but I would keep it more in the semi-formal category, okay? Thank you once more for your help in this matter, okay? This is good. And someone else says, thanks in advance. I like this. This is quick and short and sweet, okay? That's one that you guys probably know already. There are plenty more things, but I wanted to give you guys a few, okay? Because if I give you too much, you're gonna say, wow, you're gonna finish this thing and your head's going to be, your head's gonna explode with all of these new expressions, okay? So I'm trying to give you a few at a time, but yeah, you can say thanks in advance. That's a quick sign off, okay? And that's more of a sign off, and we'll see that in a minute. And then if we want to offer help, this sounds more formal. If I can be of any further assistance, or if I can be of further assistance, please let me know. If you require any further information, feel free to contact me. These are more formal, okay, or semi-formal, okay? We could just say directly, please let me know if you need any help, okay? This is more informal. All right. Again, we're going to be posting this for you guys, a more complete guide, so you guys will have that to take away. But I want you guys to go away with the most important today, and then later you can log onto our site and see even more. And by the way, I mean, we have on our online program, on our online platform on Aztecs Languages, we have a lot of activities for writing emails. Okay, so we have activities that help you to learn all of these expressions that you're seeing today. All right, and it goes even more in depth. So you have a lot of tools to practice on Aztecs Languages. Okay. Getting back to signing off your email, okay, so we were talking about closing your email, but this is more signing off, saying goodbye, okay? As I mentioned, informal or even semi-formal, you could tell someone good night, okay, but make sure that's a goodbye, all right? Formal, sincerely, you can add to that, sincerely yours. I don't like this, it sounds kind of strange, or cordially yours, or yours faithfully. For me, all formal emails that I've ever formal emails and even letters in the past, when I wrote more letters than emails, I would write sincerely, directly, just sincerely, comma, my name, all right? Semi-formal could be all the best, best regards, best, kind regards, or a simple thank you, okay? Or a thank you in advance, as a couple people wrote there, one person wrote in the chat, okay? Take care, all right? Stay safe, thanks, and have a good day. Someone's asking me a question about take care and stay safe. Really the same thing, but I mean, I don't differentiate the two, but you're seeing people use stay safe a lot more these days because of the pandemic. It's kind of take care, I would say, is there's less of a worry. It just means in general, you know, take care of yourself. But stay safe means something, well, something bad is happening, okay? So, you know, in this case, there's a pandemic and people are saying stay safe. So you're, you know, in addition to taking care of yourself, you're taking extra precaution, okay? So I would say both, stay safe or take care, okay? Stay safe is a bit stronger in the sense that it's like really take care of yourself, okay? It's a bit more than take care of yourself, okay? Again, thanks here, or a simple have a good day, have a good weekend, have a good night, something like that for an informal email, all right? This is where I want to ask for a little bit more participation from you guys, okay? When we're talking about simplifying language, I took a few Latinate words that I think can easily be simplified. And I want to test you guys a bit. So I want some volunteers to tell me of how we could simplify these by phrasal verbs or just a simple verb, okay? One of them, we just use a simple verb, one of those go-to verbs that we use a lot in English. This is for simplifying language, above all for semi-formal and informal emails. Like I said, you guys are going to be writing mostly semi-formal and informal emails, okay? So these words you could use perfectly well in a formal email. They're long, they're Latin, but I want you guys to work your English, your English brain a bit more. And so I want you to tell me what, let's start with the beginning with obtain. I've got someone who's already got investigate there, all right? So with investigate, we could use a couple of things, all right? What I was thinking with investigate, someone just said find out, okay? To find something out, yeah? To find something out is good. Or we could say to look into something. Instead of I'm going to investigate that, I'm going to look into that, okay? Find out as well. I'm going to find out what happened. You could say, yeah, let's find out what happened. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But I would use find out maybe later for when we're talking about determine, discover, or identify, which is that's what I had. Someone very good said for obtain, we would use get. That was Amulena, very good, okay? Then we have someone that said request. Request, careful here. Request is to ask for, all right? Not just to ask, but we would ask for something. We're requesting or asking for. Ask is just a question in general. Ask me a question, all right? The request always takes that for. I suggest that you guys keep that in your mind, all right? Investigate, we said look into, okay? Consider something. Anybody have an idea about what we could say for consider? I'm gonna write these for you, don't worry. Okay. So we have get. I think consider is a bit more tricky. We've got ask for. Okay, good. All right. I would say think a little bit more. In this case, I would say think about, because you're really thinking more time of. about something, all right? But you could say think of, all right? So think of, think about, but that's what I was looking for. So very good, Lydia, thank you. I would say think about, for consider. My writing is horrible. I realize why it's horrible. I don't have my pencil, my Apple Pencil here. So this is gonna be better. We've got get, okay? We've got ask for. We've got look into, think about. Think about is more when we think about something for more time, okay? This is a common question that comes up, so I'm going to go ahead and answer it because you guys are probably asking yourself, what is the difference between think of and think about? Think of is when it comes to you kind of in a moment, or when you want to say like, oh, I thought of you yesterday. I mean, I was kind of reminded of a person yesterday. I thought of them. Whereas if you say I think about someone, that makes it sound like, that person might be in love with me. Going back to the love and talking about the email, if you're thinking about somebody a lot, that means they're on your mind a lot, okay? So think about means something on your mind a lot. Very good. Melina, you said seek could be search, yeah, or search for, or we could say look for. The most common there, yeah. Someone said manage, we could handle, okay? Or we could use a phrasal verb, which is deal with, all right? And again, determine, discover, identify, I would use, in this case, to find out, all right? But you could use that for investigate as well, because you're trying to find out, you're trying to identify something when you're investigating. So you're trying to find out why something happened. But you will use these a lot, guys, and I think they're really good to use, okay? Good. So thank you. You guys, I'm really happy. I think this is the best bunch of participants I've ever had, because you guys are participating so much, and it's really making, I like that. I'm a teacher, so for me, I like participation. I mean, if you don't have participation in a class, it's really boring, because it would just be me talking. And so it adds a lot of spice to a class or a webinar in this case if you guys participate. It also gets you thinking. So thank you for participating. I really appreciate it. Now, I'm going to ask for your participation a bit more. All right, we're going to look at a few common mistakes. All right, these are just a few. There are lots of different common mistakes that you could make in an email. But I'd like to ask you guys of how we could correct these. Okay, so if anybody, like I said before, you can raise your hand. All right, if you want to speak out the answer. All right, raise your hand. Because I know some of you guys have said these. You're writing them in the chat, and you're saying them correctly. Okay, the first one, I have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 people have said it correctly in the chat, but you guys should be practicing your speaking a little bit. So could one of you volunteer and say, like, I'm writing in name of? We wouldn't say that in English. What would we say? I'm writing. Anybody willing to? Yes, Margarina, what would we say?
I'm writing on behalf of.
Yes, perfect, perfect. Thank you. I want you guys to practice. I want you guys to practice your speaking a little bit if you can. Okay, so I'm writing on behalf of. Okay. Oh. Yeah. On behalf. This is a strange word, but we use it. It means what you guys would say in the name of. We wouldn't say that actually. We'd say on behalf of. Okay. So good. We looked at this at the beginning. This came up at the beginning. I'm writing to you in relation with. Do I have a volunteer? Anybody to raise their hand? Okay. I have someone that said it there. If you could tell me that out loud, that would be fantastic. I'm writing to you. Yeah. And you guys are saying with regards, or I would say directly regarding. Okay. I'm writing to you regarding. Okay. You could say with regards to, but that's really formal. Unnecessary. I want you guys to, learn how to make things a lot quicker in your emails. Okay, so I'll just say regarding that. Okay. I'm writing to you. Someone said related to. Now, related to is correct. We would say related to and not related with. But in this case, I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say I'm writing to you in relation to. No, or relating to, no. I would use it maybe other contexts, but not for an email. Okay, I would use regarding. I would for you guys to keep in your mind, always use regarding for this. I'm writing to you regarding, or someone mentioned at the beginning, concerning. All right, so we could use regarding or concerning. Good. As you explained me in the previous email, there's a huge mistake here. Can anybody identify that mistake? As you explained me in the previous email. Good, good. I've got 3 participants that have said in the chat, as you explained to me in the previous email, or I've got another answer there, which is to avoid it completely, as you commented in the previous email without having to use explain or using the object there. But explain always goes with a to in the middle, okay? So as you explained it to me in the previous email, okay? You always explain something to somebody. Last one. I need to ask you, I need to ask to you a question. Yeah, you guys are fantastic. All right, good. You would take out the to. I need to ask you a question, all right? We would never say ask to somebody. It's ask you a question. All right, good. So before we get into the game, all right, before we start to play, I want to just talk about a few tips. This kind of brings everything together that we've talked about today, all right? As I said, this is something that we could talk. I could probably talk to you guys. I could probably go on talking for the rest of the afternoon right now, but that's not very practical for any of us, right? So, I just want to give you some tips to wrap up, all right? And as I mentioned, you'll be able to download these resources in the near future on our corporate hub, okay? So when we're writing emails in a semi-formal style, okay, that means you maybe don't have a really close relationship with the addressee. This can kind of depend, okay? But in the case of a semi-formal email, okay, you might, it might be a good idea to keep it semi-formal, not too formal if you don't know the person, okay? But if it's just maybe a supplier that you don't know very well, you don't want to sound too pedantic, you might just write something semi-formal, okay? So keep that in mind. I think the majority of what you guys are going to write is going to be semi-formal or informal, okay? That being said, if your emails are semi-formal and informal, make them direct. People aren't going to waste a lot of time reading through your email. An email is supposed to be something to read really quickly. So if you're making your email direct as possible by using short words or these phrasal verbs that I taught you guys, it's going to sound much more readable, all right? It's going to look much more readable to your addressee, to the receiver of the email, okay? I mentioned before, use Ms., okay, when you don't know the marital status of the receiver, if you're writing to a woman, okay? Informal emails, avoid the contractions, okay? Keep your sentences short in general, as I mentioned before, we're talking about being direct. I noticed that it's something about the Spanish language, sentences are really, really long, okay? Yeah, someone's just asked me, is dear sir or madam the most formal way? Yes, dear sir or madam, because you don't know who you're writing it to. You're writing it to some organization. You guys are very rarely going to use this unless you're writing an official email. Or, for me, really, reading a formal email sounds like I'm receiving it from a judge or a lawyer or something. It's just, it doesn't sound like normal vocabulary, all right? I'm not an expert in legal English, okay? I would be horrible for writing a lot of these types of emails. Like I said, I'm more semi-formal type guy, okay? So, yeah, but we would say dear sir or madam, all right? Or dear sir / madam, okay? Or to whom it may concern, all right? So that being said, keeping the sentences short, it's part of the Spanish language. Sentences can go on for paragraphs, all right? You can just separate things by commas. In English, we need to say information, separate it out. This thing, period, full stop, okay? Another thing, full stop, all right? So we don't keep separating things by commas because that for the reader is like a jumble of information. So your information needs to be really short and sweet. And again, to make your sentences short, or to make things look a bit more readable for your reader, okay? Okay, I'll answer your questions in a moment, guys. I see you guys are asking me a lot of questions, which is fantastic, and I'm going to answer them in a moment, all right? But lists, I want you guys to remember to use lists, all right, in emails, because there's something for a reader that we like, all right, is to see that information really quick, put those bullet points there, and put your information in. So before we get into the game, I do have a few questions, and then we'll get playing, okay? Is it better to use to whom it may concern, or the fact you don't know the recipient? You can use to whom it may concern if you're more comfortable. I like to whom it may concern better than sir, dear sir or madam, but you can use both, all right? But these are for the most formal emails you can do. If you're more comfortable, use to whom it may concern. And someone's writing, appreciate, sir. Oh, sir is very, very, very formal. We would probably not really use that unless you're in the military, okay? Maybe if you're in the military, you would say, hello, sir, but it's, unless you're saying dear sir or madam, okay? And we would never use sir in another context, okay? I really appreciate you guys coming, okay? Like I said, this has been the best for participation because I had a lot of people participating, which is great. That's something I like. And I hope you guys went away with a lot of these key tips and expressions for emails, okay? So thank you very much, guys. And have a good day, all right? See you the next time.